So how was this week's assignment?
This week,
It was little tough.
Little tough. Okay.
yeah,
Yes,
Yeah, because I saw there was questions on like all the topics that were
there
discussed.
were few questions which no one was able to solve.
There were few questions which no one was able to solve.
Yeah,
I think
we have a
one
group
question
of
was
around
wrong.
400.
Why was that the case? Let me
The
just.
question number ninth is simply wrong. The
I
like
will,
the
we'll come to that. Just give me a minute. Week 10, right? Week 10, quiz 10. Ah. Okay, so we'll start one by one with all the questions that we have. Okay, so first let me just open the sample docs. So the first question, was it tough? Was it easy? What is the
yeah, that's easy. That was easy.
option there? Yeah, we can just quickly go over that for the sake of completeness. Just give me a minute inside table. 2, 3, 4, 6. So the first is that we have option A, B, A plus B, and none. So this was the question of minimax regret, right? This was the question on minimax regret. Okay, so here we have 190, 150, 75, 0. So we have 100, 100, 50, 75, 0. And here we have minus 90, minus 50, minus 70, 0. Minus 90, minus 50, minus 70. And so I'll just add one row below. Yeah. So would anyone like to wager a guess on how we will solve this? Or like how did you solve this?
Hmm. We simply find the regret of each row. We select the action which has the minimum of regret. To select regret, we simply find the difference between the maximum column value and its real value of each action.
And here it is 90, 70, and 0. So I hope these values are clear how we got these values, right? So this
Yes,
is just 100 minus 100 and it's equals to 0. And then we take the
The minimum value.
maximum maximum of
Okay,
each row.
maximum value, and we find the minimum
Maximum,
of that.
we take the maximum of that particular row and then we take the minimum of the final minimax value. Okay, so here it is 90, here it is 50, here it is 70, and here it is 100. So since the minimum regret is at 50, so basically we will make this B, right? So the answer is makes bet B. Now in this question, if Ram employs the Urvik's criterion to decide, so this is the simple question of alpha. This is the simple question of where you have to do the alpha calculation, and yeah, we can just do it right away. Let me just copy this. So we will just simply take the coefficients and then we will just keep checking till we rule it out, right? So let me just paste it here. Example. Hmm. Okay, so how will you do that? So first we are given that alpha is. Let me also pull up the slides so that we can just switch them back and forth. So here we are given this criterion that alpha is rho maximum plus 1 minus alpha rho minimum, and we will do something similar to this, right? Now here, if we have, and what are the options that we have that we must consider? It is 0.2, 0.4, 0.5, and 0.7. Okay, so if we have alpha value as 0.2, what will be what will we have here, right? So if we have alpha as 0.2, we will get alpha into 100, so that is 80 minus, so 80 plus 0.8 times minus 90, right? That is how we will do, because we just saw that if we have setting like this, we will just pick this value, right? So this will be 20 plus 0.8 times minus 90, and this will be 10 plus 0.8 times minus 50. This will be 15 plus 0.8 times minus 70, and this will be just 0, right? So in all the cases here, we are seeing that the value is negative and this is 0. So since we are doing minimax, in this case we are doing coefficient of realism. So here we will pick, if alpha is 0.2, we will indeed pick no bet, right? And so 0. For 0.2, it is correct. Similarly, we will try for 0.4. So for 0.4, we see that it is 40 minus 0.6 times 90 for the first row for A. For B, it is 0.4 times 50, so that is 20 minus 0.6 times 50. For A plus B, it is 0.470, so 30 minus 0.6 times 70, and no bet, it is 0. So here also in this row, these are all negative, and for alpha value 0.4, this is the maximum value. So for 0.4 also, we will say that we will not make any bet. Now for 0.5, this value becomes 50 minus 45, and we have a value greater than 0. So for 0.5 or any value bigger than 0.5, we will never pick the row of no bet. So we have for 0.2 and 0.4 as our answer, right? And assume that, so next question is, assume that, let me zoom it a bit. Assume that an insider tells Ram that he can tell beforehand what Ram will win or lose. Also assume that all bets have an equal likelihood of success and failure. So what is the amount of money Ram should be willing to pay, right? So for that, we will follow this this equation that we studied. So it is the expected value of perfect information, right? And using that, we will compute whatever we have, right? So in our case, if it is favorable, we have, if it is favorable, right? If it is favorable, we have 100 as the best guess, and if it is not favorable, we have, and if it is not favorable, we have 0 as the best guess, right? So the average, or basically the expected thing that we have is 50, right? The expected thing that we have is 50. Now what we do, we have that, so the expected value without perfect information minus the q value, right? So what is the q value that we have? So the q value is basically, it is basically the average, the expected likelihood, right, of each row. So that will be, in this case, it is 5. In For A it is 5, right? For B it is 0. For C it is 2.5. I hope you are able to follow these calculations, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And for D it is 0. So the maximum that we have is 5, right? So the answer is simply 50 minus 5, that is equal to 45. So here we have the maximum amount of money that Ram should be willing to pay is 45. Okay, cool. So for the fourth question, it says for an MDP of discrete finite state space and a discrete finite action space, what is the size of the transition function in the most general case? So this was already covered in lecture. It is order of S squared A. You can refer to the slides for this. I think I have them. Maybe, maybe not. Let me see. But yeah, it was discussed in the lecture that if it is like this, then it is order S squared A. Even if you don't have that, you can just simply do a mathematical kind of thing. So an action links to links between every two states. So in worst case, it can be mod S square, and with every action you have an you have a so for every action entry, it will be S squared. So for mod A actions, it will be mod A times S to the power 2. So that will be the memory size that you will have of the transition function in the most general case. Okay. Question number 9 is wrong. It's fine. So 5 to 7. This kind of problem we already discussed, like as an example last time, but I will just solve this one. So yeah, so this is the MDP that you have, and you are given that pi s equals to, you are given that, uh, sorry, you are given that pi of s equals to a for all s, and v of s equals to 0. That is the initial policy that you have. Now, what is the value of fallen state after one iteration of Bellman update during policy evaluation? So, in the fallen state, we are taking action. We are taking what action? In basically, we are taking action A, that is denoted by the black color. Okay, so uh, so for V of fallen, which I'm denoting it as V of f, it will be 0.6 times minus 1 plus V0 of f plus 0.4 minus 1 plus, oh, plus 1 plus v0 of s, right? So this value is 0 because you initialized it as 0. This value is also 0. So we get v of f. Actually, it should be q0, q0, and here technically also it should be q, but it's fine. So it will be 0.6 minus 0.6 plus 0.4. So this will be minus 0.2, and that is what you have. So note that in fallen state, you can only take one action, and that is action A, right? So after policy update also, this will be the only, since this is the only action that you have, this will be the optimal value for this state, right? So V1 of F is, so basically V star 1 of F is equal to V1 of F, and that is minus 0.2. Now it is asking that suppose we perform the policy improvement step just one after one iteration of Bellman update, what is the updated policy? Okay, so similarly, for just like we did for V of f, we will do for V of s. So can anyone tell me the equations for V of s, what it will look like?
Uh, 1 times v of moving plus 1.
1 times V0 of moving plus 1, right? So this will be for the action A, right? And then similarly for action B, it will be, what will be for
Zero
action
point
B?
0.6 times Vm plus 2
Hmm.
plus 0.4 times V of f minus 1.
Minus 1 plus V0 of f, right? So this will be, so for this it will be 1, and for this it will be 0.6 times 2, that is 1.2, and minus 0.4, so this is 0.8, right? So for fallen, it will be A. For standing, it will be A, and for moving, And for moving, what will be the case? So basically we will have two things, one for vm comma a and for one vm comma b. So for vm comma a, what will the equation look like if we want to do the computation for vm comma a? It will be just, yeah, if anyone wants to take a guess or like.
I mean, anyway. Okay. 0.2 times v of f minus 1.
No, no, a is
Um,
black action, right? A is black action.
okay.
So
V
it
of
is
m will
just,
be v of m plus 1.
yeah, it will be just one. And similarly, v of m comma b, it will be
0.2 times v of f minus 1
z-
plus 0.8 times v of m plus 2.
0.8 times 2, so that is 1.6, and 1.6 minus 0.2, so that is 1.4. So for this we will do b, right? So for after one step of policy iteration, we have for f we will do a, for m we will do b, and for s we will do a. Okay, and that is the answer. S M V, it is A B A, right? So after one step of quality iteration,
Can you
policy,
repeat the sixth one again?
yeah. So since here it is saying that suppose we perform the policy improvement step just after one iteration, what is the updated policy, right? So for updated policy, what you need to do is compute the optimal value, right? Because depending on the optimal value, you will take which action you want to do, right? Since in case of if there is only one action that you have, that will be the only thing that you can do. And f, for f we have a, right? Now for s we have two possible options, either you can take action a or you can take action b, right? So for v of s comma a, we have this equation. So v of s comma a, it directly takes you to moving states with the reward of 1, so it is 1 plus v0 of m, so that is 1. And v of s comma b, and b can take you, b has two options, so with 0.6 you can go to moving, and with 0.4 you go to fallen. So 0.6 times 2, which is the reward of going to moving, plus v0 of m, plus 0.4 times minus 1 plus v0 of f, which comes from this part, right? So v0 of f was 0 and v0 of m was 0, so we got 0.8. So the optimal action to do at the state standing, that is a, right? But when we do for v of m, right, we find that if we take action a at v of m, we get the value as 1, whereas if we do action b at m, we get value as 1.4. So now what is the optimal action that we should take at vm?
B.
B, right? So for F it is A, for M it is B, and S is A, and that is how we'll update the policy. So this is the
Okay.
updated policy. Okay. Now after one iteration of policy evaluation, what is the value of the state action, right? That is what we are asked to solve. Okay. So we got that. Okay, let me just write things down. Uh, that is the eraser. We do not need this any longer, right? Okay, yeah. So after doing one step of policy iteration, we have v star of f as minus 0.2, v star of s, so that is like v1 of s as 1, and v1 of m as a 1.4, right? So this is all the data that we have got so far, right? Now it is asking me to compute a, just give me a minute. Why is the eraser not big enough? Uh, So it is asking me to, the question asks you to give you the Q value of moving comma B. Okay. So it is basically asking you to give Q value of M comma B, right? So what will the Q value of M comma B? So at M, if you do action B, you either stay at the state, either stay at the moving state or you go at the fallen state, right? Yeah, so it is 0.8 2 plus V1 of M, so that is 1.4, right? And plus 0.2 times minus 1 plus V1 of F, so that is minus 0.2, right? So this is 3.4. 3.4 times 8 is 2.72, and this value is 0.24. So ultimately you get 2.48 as its Q value. So that is what was asked in the question, and you got 2.48 as the answer. Okay. And this was also discussed in the lecture that if it is the utility curve, then the agent is risk prone. Now, someone said that there is a problem in question 9. So, what seems to be the problem here?
The option number A is right and option number D is wrong.
Sir, could you please explain 7, 8? I just joined late. So, can I refer to this, please?
So, seventh question we just solved.
-2, that's fine. That I know. But in the same way, if you question number 5 is fine, it's minus 0.2. 6,
Huh.
how did you get this sequence? That I couldn't get.
Yeah.
A, B, A.
So what we saw was that if we are at state fallen, right?
Yes, right.
There is only one thing that you can do, that is to take the action A.
Yes,
That is the
exactly.
only action that you have. So there is no point of discussing about policy update in that direction, right? When we were doing V of S, so at V of S, here I did that calculation. So basically, there are two things that you can do, right?
No, no. Actually, yeah. As per the calculation, what I'm getting is after first iteration, this should be 1.4. Yeah.
That is for
V1B
V of
moving.
M. That is for V of M.
V1B. Pardon?
That is for V of M, not V of S. I'm talking
Yeah.
about V of S.
V1B moving. No. How did you get the sequence A B A?
No, no, that is, I'm just saying that because in the question it says that if pi of standing is B, pi of moving is B, pi of fallen is A, write the answer as B.
Yes, that's fine. But then again, you have to find out the sequence, no? The best policy, the
No, but
way we.
so see, when you have updated the values,
Hmm.
right? After that,
Yes.
you have found what is the optimal action that you have to take at this particular action or
Yes,
at this
yes,
particular
yes,
state,
exactly. Yes.
right? So that
Hmm.
is the first. That is the first iteration, and that is done. So what is your
No,
updated policy?
yeah.
So
In
at
the first iteration, did you get all zero? Like B0A fallen is zero, B0A standing is zero, and B0A moving is zero.
that was the first thing that you had.
Yeah, initialization.
Huh.
Then comes the first iteration.
Huh.
So going by this, B1A fallen is minus 0.2 that you are getting,
Huh.
because zero point
That
0.6
is
into
that is shown here.
minus 1 plus 1 into 0,
Huh.
because 1 is the discount
Huh.
factor, and
Huh.
then
Huh.
you get. Okay. Then after that, similarly, B1A standing, that you are getting 1 or not?
V1 is standing, we are getting one. No? That's why the reward, that
Yeah.
is why the value also we
Yeah.
updated to 1.
Yes. So similarly, B1A moving also you are getting 1.
0.4. M comma A is 1, M comma B is 1.4. So of these
M comma
two,
B is 1.4. Yes, that's correct. Yes.
so what is the maximum of MA and MB? It is 1.4.
No, no, but B1A moving. A, if you take the path A, I mean action A, then what you are getting for B1 A moving, that is 1, but the B1B moving is 1.4. So that's why this is, I mean, the greater of this is 1.4. So that's why B1B is moving.
V1M is 1.4 and the corresponding action is B. Yes.
Yes, corresponding action is B. So how come the sequence is A B? I mean, it's not A B B. The answer is A B A. That I'm not getting.
Because it is saying right in the order of actions for standing, moving, fallen.
That's
So
good.
for
Yeah.
standing it is A, for
A.
moving it is B,
Yes.
and
For
for
fallen,
fallen it is A.
how it is?
Fallen has to be a man. There's no B
There
option
is
for
no
fallen.
B because
No,
in
no.
fallen.
See, fallen is. I mean, there is no. You.
Huh.
I counted it as 0.
No, no, no.
B1B, I mean, what's that?
There is no action. You can't take B action in fallen.
B
How
action.
could you make a B action fallen? You can't.
So there I
If
assume
you
because
if you have
it
already
is
fallen, you
zero.
can't move your legs fast.
Okay, so it will be taken as no action at all.
No, not
I
not
was
no action. That is the only action that you have, and
huh.
that's why A is the only option that you have.
Okay.
You there
Okay,
is there
okay,
see
okay.
there is
I
there
got
is
it.
there is no
Okay,
B value, right? There is no B
yes.
action at fallen.
So
If
I
you
got
see
it.
the MDP, there is
Fine.
no transition for B, so it will always be zero, like, and
Hmm.
the probability and everything will be zero.
No,
So
I got that. I mean, what I was doing is it was minus zero point 0.2. So I was counting this as no action. BB fallen is equal to zero. Zero. So if you compare zero and minus zero point 0.2, zero is greater. So that's why the sequence will be ABB. But actually, the action is not present. Okay.
yeah.
I
I
got
think another way would be to, like, instead of using a minus infinity, as you
no,
can't
yes, I
even take
got it.
that
There
action.
is no action at all, so you can't take it as
Yeah, like think of it like if you're already fallen, you can't move your leg fast, right?
right.
Like there's
And
no
then the
point of
second
moving
one,
your leg fast.
yes, I got it. Then second one is where you got 2.48.
Huh. So
So how
this
did
one,
you get that
so this
2.4?
one is just QMB calculation. So for
Now,
QMB,
how
like,
did how it is calculated
huh,
QMB?
yeah. So at M, if you take the action B, what are the
Hmm.
possibilities that you have, right?
Hmm.
So this is after doing one step of policy iteration.
Yeah.
Remember that, right? So these are the
Yes, one
values that
step
we
of policy
these
iteration.
are these are the values that we get after doing one step of policy iteration. So V1 star of F is minus 0.2, V1 star of S is 1, and V1 star of M is 1.4. That is the
1.4, and that's one. V1 star of S is one, I think. It's not
it is
zero.
one. Actually,
Yeah. Okay.
I just
Then yeah.
yeah, it is one. Let
Hmm.
me just erase it and write it clearly. So this is 1.4, 1.4, and this is just number one. So for QM comma B, right? So with 0.8, you stay at moving and you get a reward of 2. So it is 0.8, 2 plus V1 of M. And V1 of M is 1.4. And with 0.2, you go to fallen and you get a reward of minus 1. And the value of fallen is minus 0.2. So it is 2.72 minus 0.24 and 2.48. That is how we did the calculation.
Mm-hmm. 0.2 into minus 1 plus. Where did you get this minus 0.2?
So that is the value of f after doing the iteration.
Okay, okay, yeah. Previous state.
Uh, So this is
No,
from here.
next state, next state. Okay. So you have to refer to the previous state, which was minus 0.2. That I got. Okay.
So like if you want, I can write the equation like
No,
so.
no, 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 no. You just give me the reference. I'll go through it. I mean, actually, previous video of yours, I mean, that was not opening or something like that. I didn't get. So this one, if you
But like this type of question, I already uploaded a PDF, right? We discussed this Mars lunar thing. I remember in the last towards the end of the lecture, where we did this kind of value iteration step, and there I shown that how you can calculate these values.
no, no, this QMB was not clear. Other things were right.
No
That
worries.
means QMB is after. I mean, it's during the second iteration.
So that is, see, this
Oh,
is like this is Q2 because in the question
oh, yes.
it
No, no,
says
no. I
that
was thinking actually this is after first iteration means only after the first iteration what has happened, what was the status that is to be taken. So in that you are getting 1.4. So that will be problem.
exactly. Yeah.
So
So
this
can
is
we
that means
can we
after Q2, after
this
second iteration.
no, this is we are calculating Q2 and we are considering the values from the first iteration. It will not
After
be zero
first
zero.
iteration.
It will
Okay,
not be
after
zero
first.
zero. It will be these values minus 0.2, 1 and 1.4.
Hmm. Okay, fine. That's it.
Okay.
So again, another question was question number 4, where it is. Question number 4, I think.
Sorry for that. I can just close this tab.
Hmm. Yes,
Question
yes,
number
this
four.
one,
Yeah,
this one.
yeah.
See, nowhere it's written that the discrete finite action space is given by capital A. And another thing is that fourth option, it should be actually what? I mean, the third option, it is S square into A, isn't it?
Uh,
S
Actually,
square
you,
into A. So when it is written like this, there was no star. So multiplication was not there. Uh, so
so what did you
so
mark?
I opted for the first option because that was the most
And
closer one.
that would be for the first. That would be like a single thing
No,
because it,
that's not that I know, but since the options were like that, so I think that.
that was rather unfortunate, I would say.
Yeah, like considering that they put a star in option number D, I mean, it
Ah,
makes
so
sense. And
they could
option
have,
number
yeah,
B,
they
it
could have
makes
put.
sense to like if you're going to follow a convention, like follow it fully. Like don't like go half-assed.
No,
See,
no. See the way they have written.
that's why I'm saying it is rather unfortunate because like I
No,
am not responsible for putting these questions here myself.
no, no. That's fine.
Even I am seeing these questions for the first time, like you guys are seeing. So I have not seen these questions before. Part of PMRF, so this is a totally different business. Yeah, I understand your concern that it should be mod of s to the power 2 bracket times mod a, like it should be like that.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. But I've figured out is option number C because it's the only one that makes
Yeah,
sense.
that it's only one that
Yeah,
matches.
but still I understand well why someone would be angry. Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, otherwise it would look like s to the power 2 times the number of
yeah,
actions,
like
like
that's what
Yes,
exactly it's
exactly,
looking
exactly.
like
That's what
because
I thought. S to the
I
power
get
2A.
I get your point. I get it. Was
like they are not even responding. I saw your like mail on the Google groups of this
No, no, they
question.
never actually. Yeah, they never respond.
They never respond.
Hmm.
The only time they did respond was to like give us a solution, and
Yes,
like that was the first time they responded.
they responded.
Yeah, but now they are not updating like the for week 9 and week
But they
10.
will update, I think. Up to 9 they have given means. For 10, 11, 12 they will also give.
Let's see.
yeah, actually these this week's and this week's was still easy to, like I will not say as easy, but yeah, I mean,
Sir, can you go to week question number 9?
yeah, that's what I'm starting now. Huh. So
Again,
discount
in
factor.
yes, yes,
So
9 also. The
the
third
discount,
statement, MDPs assume full observability of the environment. Is it a generalized statement? Because we see partially observable MDPs also. So
Yeah.
how I mean this was also MDPs assume full observability of the environment. The third option that you see.
So was it discussed in the lecture like
yeah,
that?
it was discussed in the lecture, but I don't think the professor explicitly mentioned that MDPs cannot model a partially observable environment. It's just that it is generally not modeled.
Yeah, I think in this slide
No,
he
no, no. In the
mentioned
book, it's
sometime around
mentioned
there.
MDOP or partially observable. These things are
So,
available in the
like,
book.
actually, there are POMDPs, but
Uh,
that was not in the scope of this course.
no, yes, that.
But it's still unfair, no?
But it is a generalized statement.
So
And then,
you are going beyond what is taught now. I mean,
Like, but yeah, but the course they are giving a recommendation reading, right?
to read the
So we
books.
are expected to follow those books, no?
Yeah.
Hmm.
I agree. Yeah,
And in
because
the
there are
option number
POMDPs
one,
and then it's like
the option number one discount factor is not useful for finite horizon MDPs. Like this is true, no? Because the discount factor is used because in infinite MDPs the value becomes infinite and the agent becomes like non-responsive to rewards because the reward over infinity is always infinity, and that is why we use discount factor. So if the NDP is finite, that there is no point of having discount factor.
no, but I think that is a concept that is valid because of this utility theory problem. Na? This rule of discounting factor.
Like
Although it is useful for infinite horizons, it does not say that. You should not use it in finite
Yeah,
model.
but I have never seen, like, I have some I have some like models, and like if there's a finite element, nobody ever uses discount factor, and the professor didn't even say that it's like you are saying, like the professor never said it's not useful finite MDPs. The professor also did not say that it is useful for finite MDPs.
Huh? Oh, so there is always this gray area, na? That is the
No,
problem.
but it's not gray area. Like the only two reason we are given for finite MDP is the fact that A, like it is because of economics, and B, because in infinity the reward add up to infinity and it breaks down. In finite MDPs that does not happen because the reward does not break down because the reward is always finite. So it is not useful. And if you try to use an MD or a gamma function in finite MDPs, it will make the agent worse because now the agent is only looking at slightly less steps, right? It will make the agent worse because it
Yes,
will
yes,
make
that
it
is
near
also,
sight.
yes, yes, yes. I also think the same way, but I don't know.
It will make the agent worse. If you put gamma, the lower the value of the gamma is, the less effective the agent is because it's not thinking forward enough.
Let me check this. So have you gone through this book that is published
Yeah,
online?
I am like I've gone through some parts of the book. Yes.
I saw that this is like a proper transcribed thing, so maybe we can see if I can download it. Acha, it is already downloaded. Ah, it is in downloads. Okay. I was in downloads. I did not. The hell did I see that? Right in front of my eyes. So yeah, we are talking about this part, no?
No, the transcriptions are actually wrong, sir. Oftentimes the professor says one thing and the transcription writes other thing.
That is fine. I just want to see, like, has he even spoken about, like, otherwise, yeah. But I agree with your point that putting gamma value there will not make any sense because there is a finite absorb, like there are absorbing states and it will just be
Not
done.
only it would not make sense, it will make the agent worse
Why are you claiming that it will make it worse? Have you found
because
any?
it will only look at a few steps ahead. For example, if say like there are 5 steps, if you put gamma like a very low value, it will only look at one step. Like the lower the value, the less step forward it will think of.
Mhm. So gamma is
Less,
equivalent of a look ahead. Yeah, that I remember
yeah, like look ahead,
getting that.
and the less look ahead the agent has, the worse it is because it's not able to model the future world. It will make like more emotional agent, you can say.
Emotional aging. Wow. Uh, but yeah,
Like
I
in
think no, but I understand where you're like. Why are you making such claims? Because it was never discussed clearly what is the utility of gamma
No,
in
it
a.
was discussed. I think the professor spent like quite 15 to 20 minutes discussing like the value of gamma function.
I see there are lots of things here. This means I will be in a channel where we have state transition. I told you that this is the most common version. Version you can think is interesting to see. You should ask yourself, are you working towards specific goal or la, la, la. But I felt like this week it was more, very philosophical things going on. And I
The
was,
decision theory, like the decision theory was certainly interesting.
yeah, so we are still in the world of MTV pretty much as we have it. We just know more muscles, everything starts over, la 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 la. Where is that particular slide, man? Wow. Acha, no, this is not, this is
This
MDPs.
is the this week's, not the previous
This
week's.
is the I need to go to previous weeks. Yeah, just realized that. Markov decision process, policy iteration. No, this will be much in the more beginning, I suppose.
The gamma is above, like you
Yeah.
have to ahead.
Oh, it is much more about. Hmm. Policy evaluation, brute force, even before this. Too much text, man. Yeah, role of discount factor.
For the infinite type, you want this total reward to be bounded. Otherwise, things do not fail, to make them bound. And when you have one average time, we do not say. However, the nicer way is to understand discount reward model. So the entire point of reward model was because the infinite reward, the problem of infinite rewards.
And what does the book says? Have you gone through the
The
book?
same thing.
Acha, the book also says. So the book claims it is not useful, or it is also
Um,
very loosely
the
mentioned, or
book claims that the usefulness of MDPs come from two sources. One is intuition about our human lives, because we of course prefer present reward more than future reward. And the second factor, it gives that if the reward is infinite, because the time is infinite, the reward gets infinite. And if the reward is infinite, no matter what action you choose, there is no point of choosing one action over the other.
let me just quickly see if there are anything, any papers or.
I don't think you will find, like, it's so obvious that if you put gamma in any finite MDP, it will make the agent worse off.
See myself about reinforcement learning. TLDR. The fact that the discount rate is monetarily taken infinite. Yes. In order to be more precise, then first introduce the MDPs. Reinforcement learning to solve MDPs provides the mathematical basis and the decision. Note that the optimization has infinite time and objective is discounted reward. This is basically it's for a finite MDP as such. Finite approximation, probably efficient. Discount. The best of our knowledge is the first polynomial regret bound assessing the like instructions.
I mean, I find this like very weird thing. Like, obviously, the professor never even discussed, like, why are you, if it's not discussed, then why are you asking the
Right.
question?
Like when I saw that I would have also given this as a true. Like discount factor is not useful for finite horizon MDPs. But there was one more aspect in MDP, right? Given a finite one, it optimizes.
I'm pretty sure it's a mistake by their part.
Either they should have given for infinite. Like if that would have been infinite, then yes, no one will
No,
say
not only that, but option number D is wrong too.
goal states are absorbing. That also I felt like in which MDPs. Uh,
Once you reach the goal state, why will you make an action? You're already at the goal state. That's for the purpose of your life. You're already dead. If once you're dead, you can't make actions.
yeah, this was also discussed in the class, but I think this might be for an infinite MDP or like you are
But in infinite
just
MDPs, we
want
don't
to.
have goal state.
That is also true. Infinite MDPs don't have a goal state. Let me just see that. What does Google says? Google will definitely say something. Is there an inherent assumption of start and goal state in MDPs? क्या बोलता है देखो. So before the end of playing the stage two. So what do others have to comment on this part? Like you can also pitch in. We are only 10 people, so it's fine. You can just speak your mind. In general, MDBs have a start state distribution that may be single state but do not have to be non-episodic problem. You might want to consider long-term distribution and then also it is quite common to use simple sum. In general, MDBs do not have goal state, always using agent section.
So, what is the meaning of this statement? In general, since MDPs do not have any goal states,
It's mostly
then
when
what
we
is the
use
D of?
MDP.
So,
So this
what is
is
the meaning of this option D? I mean, what does it tell?
so this is like see all the problems that you have seen in the lecture also the goal states are absorbing like when once you
Yes,
hit the
that
goal
we have
state
seen.
done. Uh,
But in general, if it is specified
in
that yes,
general it is in
assumption
general
again it depends upon assumptions. You have to specify the assumptions clearly. Once that's not there as a generalized statement, what can be spoken about it?
no sorry can you repeat like generalized what do you mean generalized.
Generalized means the statement is about MDP, na? So
So
now
in general, MDPs do not have goal
MTPs do not
states.
have goal state. So
This is
if you
pointing
compare
towards an
this,
infinite
yeah,
horizon thing, I presume. Like,
no, that is okay. But if this statement you compare with the option D, then how do you
I
clarify?
don't think it is fair to compare like the author is not like a professor, like the author, like
yeah, it's
these are
very,
this is just a forum, man. This is a
yeah,
forum. You're not supposed to take it so
I'm not
seriously.
saying that this is the. I'm just saying that even in the course material that you have with
Hmm.
you, I don't think you are shown any example
No,
in
no.
which
Not
So
a,
see,
goal states have
if it is true that the goal states MDPs do not have any goal states, then what is the meaning of option D?
No, no,
If it is
this is
saying
not
it,
search
will
for
it
goal
be
state
true?
MDPs. This is not search for goal state MDPs. The
No,
question
that's
is there any inherent assumption of start and goal states in an MDP? That is the
yes.
question. The question is not about what is the like reward or what do goal states have any end
Hmm.
start state or end state. So they're just discussing MDPs in general. Like okay,
So if there is no assumption, then in that case, what is the meaning of statement D? I mean, we have seen problems where the end states are end states are given specified clearly.
ah, yeah. So for example, you have this in slides, right? This question.
Hmm.
This
Yes, yes,
question, like for
yes,
example, yeah, this one. So here, ghost it are absorbing, like,
yes.
not only
okay,
that, but the professor explicitly said like the goal state are like the death of an agent. Like once we human die, like that's our goal state. Like the analogy was of course that once we die, we cannot make action, and that's what goal state are. Like once you reach them, you
I am
cannot make an
totally
action.
with you on this part.
But once you reach the goal, then how can you?
Like
How
once you
can
reach the
there
goal,
be a
you're dead.
transition? Yes,
You're
yes,
dead.
exactly. So how can there be a transition again?
Let me search this. Let me do it on Google. Absorbing terminal state is an attractive other than non. Achha, but if it is a non-absorbing goal state, that means it is like an infinite MDP thing. Yeah.
But then it's not a goal state.
हाँ हाँ हाँ
Infinite entities don't have goal states.
तो इसमें नहीं this one Markov division process University of Washington. There's so much. Oh, this is by Professor Mosam only. Okay. Ah,
And is there any
it is the
instance?
exactly same slides. Wow.
Yeah, they were made by Professor Mauso. I think Professor Mauso himself said like he usually takes from other places.
ABSORBIO. The set of goals are absorbing or non-absorbing, but what is the comment on? So here also they are
No,
saying,
if it
see,
is
goal state.
non-observing, then there can be a transition. Na?
If it is non-absorbing, then there can be a
No,
transition.
no, man, that's cheating. That's cheating. The professor explicitly said the goal state are like that.
See, I understand
No,
your concern. I am not saying that what you are saying is not wrong, but uh, that's a very strong claim, actually. You know what you are saying. That's why here they have said that goal states can be absorbing or non-absorbing.
Yeah, they are not even like explicitly like they just said, yeah, it can be like, yeah,
Huh.
that's not a very good statement.
Yeah.
Like if there's a diagram with the arrow and saying
no.
non-absorbing
But
slash
if it
absorbing.
is non-observing, then the fourth option is correct. I mean, there can be transition.
Yeah,
But
but it
we are
doesn't make
trying.
sense.
Markov system is defined as absorbing if every. So let us see. There is a paper. But what was the paper about? I don't want to read the paper. Let's see if we find something. Because it's a good question that are there actually
Like, how
non-absorbing.
would you even define a non-observing goal state? Like, it doesn't even make sense to think about it. Like, once, like, the point of goal state is that once the agent reads, like, that is our goal, right? Once we reach our goal,
Once
why
we
would you even make an action?
let me say N or N is the first occurrence of non-terminal. A Markov system is defined as absorbing if every non-terminal state it is possible to eventual.
The absorbing has nothing to do with the action, yeah, right? So the absorbing non-absorbing had nothing to do with the fact that the yeah the absorbing and non-absorbing has nothing to do with the fact that the goal state can have have other actions.
No,
The
see,
absorbing,
if the goal state is absorbing, that means that agent goes and dies. Agent goes there and dies.
I don't think that's how absorbing is defined.
Absorbing states मतलब वही हुआ ना कि you just reach there and then it's done. Like that's what even the general sense of absorb is like to like how will you relate this absorbing state and the general
Yes,
notion of
observing means
absorbing?
after that, once you reach that state, there will be no further actions. But
That's, that's,
non-observing means it reaches there
that's
and then
what that's what we are
what
trying
is
to
An
say.
absorbing NDP is a type of NDP where at least one state that is absorbing, meaning that once a system enters the state, it will
Uh,
remain there forever.
uh,
Absorbing MDPs are used in many applications such as board game. So like it's the absorbing non-absorbing that doesn't is defined on this MDP itself, not that state. Because if even one state is absorbing, then it is an absorbing NDP. The absorbing properties on the entire MDP, not the particular state.
an MDP has an absorbing state if there is it. But this is again, I think, a very gray thing to say.
I mean, like it is explicitly stated here. I will just paste it here.
No,
Like
I
the
understand. But
absorbing is a property of an NDP,
हाँ
not
हाँ
a state of
ठीक है मैं
NDP.
वही कह रहा हूँ कि अगर if the goal state itself is an absorbing state, right, then there is no comment on the transition, like there cannot be transitions from this state to other state. But can there be MDP? Like, are there any MDPs such that there are transitions from goal state to some other state?
Like, would it even make sense to talk about
So,
a
like,
goal state that is?
are you familiar with automata theory?
Yeah, I'm very familiar with
So
automata
in
theory.
automata theory also there the goal states, like not the ones that are like properly epsilon thing and all that, but
Those goal state are different from these goal state.
that I understand. But they're also like you want to say that ah, those
Like
goal
that's a completely different definition of goal state. There we find goal state to find whether or not the string is accepting or not accepting. Here we define goal state as something which the agent moves towards.
book. Do I have the? Do you have the book with you, right? So can you just share your screen and take us to the,
I'll open my book.
because I want to see what does the book says. If the book says, then you can challenge like, why are you playing games with us like this?
No,
I
like the professor himself says, right? Like why does the book
See,
is even needed?
I totally understand your concerns, and I would have also selected A and D because in the entire lecture there was not a single question or not a single discussion on this domain, that whether discount factor is useful for finite horizon MDPs or goal states may have transition. Like there was not a single question about this, and no one even asked in the lecture that the professor tries to answer or something like that. So I
I feel
wonder.
like I mean this is just unfair, man. Like I feel so bad.
Anyway, let's see. Are you sharing your screen with the book on or like? Okay. You're not audible, I think. Can anyone else hear him? I
Hello,
yeah, yeah,
hello. Oh,
yeah.
okay. Um, so you can see like
Hmm. A final justification of discounted rewards is that it unconventionally makes some nasty infinities go away with finite horizon.
yeah, these are the two. There are three solutions, two of which are already the discount reward. The utility of an infinite sequence is finite,
Hmm.
and the environment contains terminal states. And if the agent is guaranteed to get one eventually, then we will never need to compare infinite state. And that infinite sequence can be compared with the average reward. Like these are the three solutions
Can you just
given.
scroll up? Can you just scroll up with just keep it in the above those 3 points? There is a paragraph. I just want to go over them. What does this paragraph says? So the 3 points that you just showed. Uh, can you scroll down? Can you scroll down a bit? The infinite origin if the environment does not enter a terminal state or is agent is on environment will be infinitely long. And I think these points are fair enough to say that. But still, where have the book quoted that? Acha, ठीक है, just keep it here. With infinite horizons, if the environment does not contain, all environment histories will be infinitely long, and utilities will additive undiscounted rewards will generally be infinite. Again, with the same transition in the stationary means that two. So, in English, it means that if you are to okay. Now, can you so discounting? So, oh yeah, it's not. There's nothing.
And then that was absorbing, right? No, goal state.
No, goal state though it's full of. You should not search for goal state because then the
What?
entire search space, search problem or something will just come up. Like maybe you can search the statement itself, or I don't know.
I don't think the statement is explicitly mentioned. Where the hell is it?
Or week 10. Yeah.
Goal state may have transitions. No, I don't think there's a good way to search here. How would I even search here?
Ah,
No.
No, you won't
Oh,
get anything in the Google.
yeah.
okay, I think it's fine then. This is a very
Like, how do we even appeal? Like, they are not responding to our like.
yeah because these kind of things were not. I would say
Because I got a 9, man. Like, just because of this question, I'm not getting full marks.
yeah. What can one do? Man? Goal states may have transitions to other states in the NDP. It's a let them give their solutions. No? Then they will have to show in the solutions if at all they upload. Then there they will have to show an example, right? I will also try googling this up. Like both states may have transitions to other states in the NDP, but like we just now googled and we did not find anything useful like that might give us anything in this direction. What? A transition diagram of simple transition here. Yeah,
Okay, so I don't think there's any point in like wasting
ठीक
more
ठीक
time here.
yes. Yeah, the 10th question. So 10th question is also like the value hydrogen is guaranteed to converge in a finite number of steps for any value of epsilon and any MDP. MDP is a fixed point. The convergence policy is dependent of. So this was discussed in the lecture that you initialize with any policy. In each policy iteration, value iteration is run as a subroutine using a fixed policy. That is also true. And value iteration is generally expected to converge. No, we did not see any statistical analysis to show whether this point is right or wrong. So it's better to leave it out. Okay, so yeah, week 10 done. Good. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so in week 11, can you move to that neuroscience slide?
Neuroscience.
Neuroscience of TD,
Neuro.
temporal difference, neuroscience of temporal difference.
Actually, once I found this, I did not bother making slides. So I'll just use this. I hope it is fine.
I think I found actually a way to find slides, actual real slides of which are used by professor. Like you just found it, right?
Hmm.
Okay,
Neuroscience, this
so
one, right?
yeah, in the next slide, we
In the
have next slide.
yeah. I have. I'm just fitting it with. So the next slide will come right now. Yeah, this one.
Okay, next is after this, the graph which has the graph.
Uh,
Yeah, this one.
uh,
Can you like explain like what these AR means
what
and
this
like
AR means. So,
the
um,
these were words were never defined by the professor.
so I think this A clearly means action.
Okay,
A
so
might
A
be
action, and what does the peak means?
the
Like
peak means that that is where you are performing the action.
the peak means the performance of action.
No, that is where you are performing the action. So
So
like
like
you are
what does
ringing
the
the bell.
y-axis mean? What the y-axis mean?
The y-axis is just that whether you are doing the action or not. So the
Okay,
moment
so
you are
it's
doing the action, it goes to one. That is what I could make out of this thing. I am not saying that this is the because yes, it is true. Professor does not discuss what are these values. I also remember that. But from what I can sense is that at this point of time, action was performed, that a bell was rung, right? And then R is, I think, simply the reward that, okay, when at t equals to 200, you give the reward to the dog. That is
What
the
is
code.
delta V? I mean, how did you get this delta V?
And
V is the
delta V is just V minus,
V
it would
minus what?
be, Acha, let me see. So it would be, so they are saying delta V. Would it be
like
associated?
delta V is differentiation of V. What is V? Delta V is differentiation of V.
V
That's
is
what
the,
it is.
V is the, uh, what I would say, that might be the value of the that pins they might have
Dopamine,
put, like whether the pin is triggered or not, something like that. It might
dopamine level.
it might be the dopamine level. Yes.
No, V is the dopamine level. That's understood.
Ah,
Because first, I mean, the bell rung and then the food came. So R is the reward
hmm.
and A is the action. So V is the period of salivation. I mean, dopamine, release
V,
of dopamine
V
during
is the
that.
dopamine level that you have. So
V is the
Like
dopamine
is the
after,
level. Right.
professor ever said like the V is dopamine level?
uh, so it's just
So,
like
I mean, delta V, how you got delta V?
Differentiation of V. Delta V is differentiation of V with respect to
Differentiation
time.
with respect to what?
Time. Delta V is differentiation with respect to time.
Okay. Hmm.
then what
But
is the
my issue
delta
is
below
Hmm.
that?
my issue is that this Latin delta, it is defined as it is defined in the previous slide, and which has like yeah, yeah, this no, like the professor actually speak what this the previous this what do Latin delta, what's Greek delta, like the fancy delta means, like he gave a formula, and the delta formula also had R in it, like delta V minus R. I think that's what the professor said.
But where is the formula? In the slide, it was there, I think.
No, it was
Some.
not in there. The slide, the professor actually spoke it verbally. Yeah,
No,
here,
no,
here.
this
This
is
is the
there.
formula.
TD error is there, I think. Yes.
Yeah, this is the TD error. Yeah, this is the
Hmm.
formula. The
Hmm.
problem is if the R is the like the food given, how do you even measure it against the dopamine level? Like those are completely different units. You can't
No, it
add
could,
them.
uh, no, but
The,
the model is this. You cannot add means the model
no,
says
no,
this.
no. In the physics, like you cannot add two terms which have different units. Like it's the first thing, in
Then
equations.
we might not be actually like.
No, this is the model, so you cannot say what they have
No,
actually. I
no,
mean,
I
How do
understand
you even
what you
measure R? How do you measure
I
R?
understand what you are saying. It's like you are applying the law of dimensionality, and you are saying that these two dimensions do not match.
Yeah, like R cannot be food. R is something else.
no, no, no. R
That
is
is
the
the
reward. R
reward.
is the
That is
food.
the reward.
R is the
No,
food.
no, R can be reward, but R cannot be food. Like you
No, no.
cannot.
No, in this situation, in the
How
dog
do you
and
measure
bell,
food? How do you measure food? How do you measure food? Tell
no,
me.
no,
Like
no.
how do you
Food
measure
is
food?
not measured. Food is not measured. Dog is happy. So dopamine is released during that time.
Yeah, dopamine is V.
Hmm.
R is the like weight of the food.
No, 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 no. It's any kind of food, I think.
How
So
do
how,
you measure
what
R? Like
kind
if you are
of
going to use R in equation, you need to way to measure it.
no,
How
that
do
is
you
the
measure food?
extent. No, 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 no. The reward, how do you measure see all the problems that we have seen till now all have rewards. I mean, you're getting some points. Somewhere it is +1, -1, and then +10, -10. You have to quantify it, no?
Yeah, but how do you quantify it in terms of an animal? Like
No, no, that's not the thing. That is
we
the
are doing
example he
neuroscience. We
has
are not
given.
doing reinforcement learning in
No, no,
this
no, no, no.
particular
It,
slide.
it,
We are doing
it was the
neuroscience.
example, but actually the reward they have taken it quantitatively.
It is not food, man. It is not food. It's something else. The art maybe stands for reward, but it's not food. You cannot add dopamine levels and reward. Like that doesn't make sense.
So TDLR is R plus VT
And then
minus
VT +1 is what? When the food came, what is that thing?
The
Or next
plus
state or what?
the
no
next,
the
like,
time
maybe the
1 second
next
later,
what
1 unit time later.
201 second. So at 200 the food came. So what is the value at 201? Something like that.
Okay. So it's after the food came.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The moment after the food came.
But then when the food came, after that the dopamine level is
No,
reduced.
so we are just giving an example that
Okay.
t is if t is 200, then t plus 1 is like what happens just 1 second after the food comes. So t
Okay.
can be any value between 0 to like 300, 500, 700.
Mhm.
It can be any value. So delta is essentially between it is the r plus vt plus 1 minus vt something. This is what they are saying. Why is this line here? Otherwise you could have seen the entire curve.
No, actually the in the lecture the curve is shown by
Ah.
like for a second the professor's head disappears.
Mhm.
So in the lecture that it is shown, and it is shown as the spike goes when the alarm rings and it's neutral again. As the alarm rings, it's neutral. The spike there is a spike in TD error, and then it's neutral.
So it will be like if so delta is basically r plus delta v, right?
No, TD error is R plus delta V.
Delta v.
Yes, TD error is R plus delta V.
And how are they computing delta v?
Delta V is differentiation of V with respect to time.
Delta v is differentiation of v with
Is
respect
VT
to time.
VT+1 minus VT.
हाँ तो यहाँ से तो वो जीरो हो गया फिर ऐसा हो गया फिर उल्टा चला गया बिकॉज द स्लोप इज गोइंग डाउन. ठीक है.
But the problem is, what does V and R and A represent? Because
No,
you cannot.
A I think is the action like where the moment
Okay,
you do
then
the
what is
action,
R?
and R is the
R is the
reward.
reward.
R
R
is
is the
when you are
reward.
giving the reward. Like
That also the professor has stated. R means it's the reward. And
no,
in this
R is
scenario
the
also,
reward. Like
yeah, he has particularly stated that when the bell rings, it is the action, and R is the food when it is the reward in terms of food.
But how are you measuring it? Like if you're measuring it with the dopamine hit, then what's V?
no, no.
If V is dopamine,
R is
then
not
it cannot.
measured by dopamine hit. R is just like R is just when you give the reward, like it's just there. It is
What
not.
is the measure of R? Like what exactly it is? Like reward? How are you measuring reward in the animal?
See, these are in different domains. R
That's what he was
is
saying. That's
different,
what he was
yes.
saying initially, that these are in different dimensions. So how are you adding this up? That was what he's saying from the beginning. Like if R is reward and delta V is the value difference, then how are we
No,
adding
no,
up?
but I mean, you have to assume that when the reward came and when the action took place, at that time the dopamine has started to release, and then it remains in that state. And when the food came finally, after that there is no excitation, and then it will come down.
Now here is what people are. Your happiness level is completely dependent on this delta. So your TD error tells us how happy you are going to be or how
Mm,
sad you will be.
exactly.
Right at the time bell is rung. So in practice, what happens? None of your four theories correct, believe it or not, or at least fully correct. Some people think there is double error to the khatam. TD error is R plus delta V, right? R plus VT plus one is my new sample and VT is my bold prediction. So this is my prediction error, my temporal difference error, and the difference. What does temporal difference? Initially, after training, there is a lot of temporal difference. So we will be adding delta V with R. Prediction error in dopamine cells and so reward at time t. So these are so reward is also reward is it a stimulus or what? So RT is zero.
No, stimulus is the bell.
A stimulus is the bell. Then we give
Stimulus
reward.
bell and it is binary.
Uh-huh.
1 0.
Yes, it can be taken like that in this
Is going.
for this example. Stimulus is just a stimulus.
Dopamine gets generated after training. You ring the bell and there is more activity. Why? Because you are happy. You need to get a reward, but when you get the reward, nothing happens. No happiness. This is very interesting. Why is there no happiness? Because you already knew you were going to that was the bill. The fact that I got food is obvious stuff. So this is super exciting. Your happiness is not governed by the reward that you get. The mismatch governs it in the expectation of reward that you are getting. You are happy because you did not expect to get something and you got it. You are happy because you did not expect to get something and you got it. Oh, now there are so many different ways these manifest. Okay, I can go on and on about it.
Even the philosophical point professor is making is somewhat controversial as people do commit suicide, if the happiness is really the like the mean of what you live in, like then it wouldn't make sense for someone to be
Let's,
depressed.
let's not talk about these stuff. I don't want to get blocked on YouTube.
It's private, right?
I mean, yeah, I have not kept it private, but yeah. But yeah, it's educational purpose, so it's fine. We can talk about these things, I hope. God forbid. Uh, so I think reward is also measured as some signal, like from if you see here at this
Yes, yes,
point, like
yes. That has to be
it
in
is
the
just
form of
some
some
signal,
signal
like
which is measurable in real. I mean, you have to give some value, otherwise, computation will not be possible. No?
That's what I'm asking. Like, how is it measured? How are you measuring reward? That's my entire point.
before training, it says reward prediction error is this, and after training, uh, T of S. I don't know. I don't figure from theoretical neuroscience.
No, 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 no. So,
Let
see,
us see this paper. Let us see if the paper has any theoretical. You can keep the discussion going. Theoretical neuroscience. What who were the authors? Peter Diane and Larry Abbott. Yeah, DIN and Larry. 'Cause. 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 '
No, no. So see,
So
the
this is a
before.
book. Oh, Baba. Yeah, yeah, yeah. What is the? Mhm.
Sir, do you not have like the university login?
But that is like a MIT press thing. Do you think IIT Kharagpur will have that kind of access?
So IIT Kharagpur does not have access to journals?
This is not a journal. This is a book.
Yeah, but still, I thought like universities would give it for free, no? To the
This
professors?
might be in IIT Kharagpur library, but I don't want to go there and search the entire database or something. This would be just too much of an exercise for me. Uh, but yeah, I think if we are able to find a version of this, which I will find eventually somewhere in this week, maybe we can discuss about this in detail. Yeah, because your point is how are we measuring the reward? Uh, Maybe the reward is the spike in dopamine or something. No, but that
Then what is V? I thought V was spike in dopamine.
B is the constant dopamine value.
Then delta V is the spike, right? Delta V is the differentiation of the change in dopamine.
Mhm.
No, no, no. It's not. R. I don't think that if V is related to dopamine, R cannot be related to dopamine.
So then, so the question is, how are we measuring reward? So this is like it says reward prediction error, and here it is hertz. Some hertz,
I
some
mean,
random.
frequency.
That is
So
fine.
yeah,
Obviously, it is frequency.
frequency. No, no, no. Actually, see, in the first before training, what happens when the bell rings? I mean, there is no increase in the signal level that you can see before training. But when the food came, after that only
Mm,
there is a increase in this. But
see the
second time after training, when the bell rings again, there is slight increase in the level of this. I
the
mean,
y-axis is clearly
whatever.
dopamine, right? The y-axis is
Yes.
clearly dopamine.
Huh?
The
Because
y-axis
now
is
it is
dopamine.
trend. Na? You know, y-axis is the level.
No, no, it's the dopamine level.
No, it's the frequency level.
No, dopamine level.
So it's like the frequency of. So you cannot yeah, like you are not doing a blood cell like a blood test there, and
See,
so
I
it
mean,
is
see, when you
measured
are
through some
happy, no,
electrical
no, no,
signals.
no,
Yeah,
no,
it could be like the number of times the signal, like the number of time that device get hits,
no, no,
something
no.
like that.
They must have put some device to measure the frequency because when you are happy, what is the frequency? What is your frequency level? How do you measure that?
So that is the dopamine level. That is
Yes, yeah, that's
that is the
proportional to dopamine level. You
so
can
so
measure.
so dopamine is like it's like it might just be that how many times that particular uh, how many it like in a second or in a in a seconds interval, how many times that that particular area or that particular neuron might have gotten a dopamine spike. That's what I'm just saying. But before making any firm claim, I would rather first read this book by Peter Dane and Larry Abbott.
The entire book you have to read too.
You
You
don't
know,
have to
this
read
is
the
simple.
entire book. You
I
don't
mean,
only
this
need to
is
read.
simple.
Just this
Professor
section.
explained it. I mean, it is understood when he explained. Second time when the bell rings, now the animal comes to know that yes, something is going to come. So the happiness level increases. But then the expectation level at that time increases. But when I mean,
His
it has
so
already expected. But when the food actually came, at that time there is no
his
excitement. I
question
mean,
is see
not
what his question is that how are you calculating reward? So how are you giving the reward value?
that.
Like what are its dimensions? Like for example, dopamine value has some dimension to attach to it, right? That it is hertz.
Hmm.
Like dopamine, let's say dopamine is read as the number of times that signal went up in a span of 100 seconds.
Hmm.
Or like for this it says that okay, out of 100 seconds for 88 second or something span, it stays up, and as soon as you get the food, it goes down. But how is this R plotted, and what is its significance? Like what are its units, and what is that actually? because it if it were like this, it would just be a square wave, or it would not be like this bell curve kind of thing.
Just spike, but with some standard deviation. I mean, ST value
Yeah,
variance.
it looks almost like a bell curve where it could have been just like, if it is a frequency, it is better to represent it like a square wave. Na? That okay,
Hmm.
at this point in time it went up, it stayed like that, then it went down and just stayed zero forever, like for the rest of the time. But yeah, what? How are they? How are they getting the reward? So is we will be adding delta v with r plus delta v. Right, r plus vt plus 1 is my new sample, and vt is my bold prediction. So this is my prediction and temporal difference. So at a peak, because I was not expecting anything, nor did I get a reward. But now my expectation has increased. So there is sudden jump in the value function here. And so on the other hand, later when this is going on, because I have received the reward, the negative reward gets cancelled out. So what I would say is that reward is measured as the spike that comes when the food is given, and that is something that I can say. Am I still in the meeting?
Yes, sir, you are still in the meeting. Um, okay, so moving on, can you, sir, like solve like in some previous year's question,
Mhm.
uh, like when we are told to like solve like Q table or whatever, they don't give like a gamma value. So what should we assume in those cases? Like,
Arey yaar, this question it's better if you ask them only
No,
because
no, sir,
if
sir,
I,
could you please explain this question number three? I mean, just to know, here the run means what? These are the samples. Question number three, sir.
the next three questions, consider the following trajectories objected by running some simulation in an unknown environment given a policy. The state space is ABC and the action is AB. Assume discount factor is each sample is represented as
State action reward next state.
mhm, state action reward next state. So a run means that his name is presenting. What happened?
sir, I'm just like,
Okay.
sir, can you like solve this question maybe? This is from previous years.
I have the previous year paper. I was about to solve that. Like,
No, this is like previous to previous year.
acha.
But there is a solution available for this, I think.
Uh,
21.
this is
20.
21. I don't know which year
Yeah,
this
yeah,
is.
this is 21, and for that, the I think solution is
This
there.
is 21. Yeah.
Yeah.
ठीक है, you can just keep it on the screen.
Hmm.
We can just go through the solution if at all they have provided anything.
Let me see first. Solution. If the solution solves my problem, then whatever.
For now, let me just put this here. Huh. So your question is that what does a run means?
Run means one sample. See, in run two, there are two samples.
Mhm.
I mean, how do you explain this? Is it does it mean that A0B? That means the next run, I mean the.
So a run can just be like, consider this like an episode, I would say rather.
Hmm.
So like each episode will be a set of action, a set of samples.
Hmm.
So here, like one run is A, and at A you take an action A,
Action. Hmm.
and you go to zero. So this is one run and it's done. So
One
these are
run.
all like these are
So,
all like samples.
no,
Consider
no.
No,
them.
B
Does
is
it?
the goal state, and we keep running until we reach B. It's
No,
obvious.
that's
Yeah, the state
so.
C
In
when we
run
go A.
two, no,
Diya,
no.
I get,
Does it
is it
mean that
quite?
in run two you will start from B? No.
No. These are random things. So run two is like a completely new episode. So
Okay.
these are all like different episodes of the
Hmm.
same environment that you have.
Okay.
Each sample is represented as state action reward next state. Using model pre-learning, give an empirical estimate of V pi of A. V pi of A. Yeah. But if we were indeed a goal state, then taking that action would have rewarded you like 100 or something, right? There should be a
Not
monthly
necessarily. Goal state is when the character dies, not necessarily when that is.
that. But
Uh,
in general, the questions that you have seen, like there is no goal state with zero reward. Like,
yeah, like the professor give one example where there were two goal state, one with reward -2 and one with reward +100, in
uh,
which the character dies once each. So it is possible to reach a goal state without getting a very high reward.
don't know the answer to the first three decimal places. Acha, we were about to discuss the this week's. So now courses. As I said, this in this week you have more on TD learning, whereas in previous weeks it was more on the Q learning part, not that much on TD learning. Like
No, no. Q learning is in this week.
no.
MDP is, yeah. Q
I'm
learning
saying,
is in this week.
I'm
TD is also in this week.
in this iteration of the quiz, it is much focused on TD learning, whereas the previous one was only focused on Q learning, right?
Oh, this is
The
previous year's
previous one
question.
didn't even have any one TD learning question,
Yeah,
and
Hmm.
it
we
did
this
not
week we
have
have
a
like 2 3 questions.
it did not have a TD learning question. Yes, that is true. I did not see that. Hmm. So, how do you want to proceed? Should I solve like
I would like you to like at least solve one Q learning problem and one TD learning problem. That should like clear us everything.
ठीक ठीक है तो for for Q learning MDP with three states used to imply Q learning. हाँ ठीक है ये वाला कर लेते हैं. This is a good question. Okay, so even before that, this one is on passive learning, and you are given that you are given this diagram, and you are said that on executing the policy on for learning, you reach state B3 1000 times, right? And on executing the up action, you reach A3 299 times, B2 294 times, B4 394 times, and C3 58 times. So all of these numbers indicates how many times each state is reached in the first step once we execute an up action from B3, right? Then write down the value of T B3 use C3, right? So from B3, if you take an up action, you reach C3 58 times. So out of 1000 times you've done the simulation, so the probability is simply 0.058. That was just one question that we covered.
One more thing, sir. Can you like explain the difference between passive and active learning?
So in active learning, there is like how can I say that? I would say that in active learning there is these like you get one sample, you adapt it to that sample, use that feedback, then you generate the new sample, you adapt to that sample, and then you do that. Whereas in passive, first you generate some samples and then you do learning on top of that.
Okay, so like where in passive learning, the learning happens in one go. In active learning, the learning keeps happening
Keeps happening, yeah.
with time.
Yeah. I think
Okay.
it was mentioned in the slides. You
Yeah,
can
yeah, yeah. It was mentioned.
but
I forgot. Yeah.
but
Okay.
yeah, I think the kind of thing that I know is that in active learning, it's like you have a system, then you generate a sample, you adapt system to that, give the feedback, then you generate a new sample, and this keeps happening like in a feedback loop. Whereas in passive learning, it's like a standard machine learning algorithm. So you have samples, you fit to it, then you get a new sample and see what is the error that you have. Like, huh. Okay, so in this question, it says that suppose you are playing an old video game where the player has to navigate a maze as given below. The player starts at the position labeled S. I think this was also in the question set that you just shared while sharing your screen. So
Yeah, the previous and previous year's question have very similar question, but this year's we have got very different question.
yeah. So on reaching the goal state, you get a reward of +1. Any action that leads to collision with grid walls give the reward of -1, and the position of player does not change. Right? All other rewards are 0. Okay. Putting on. So you observe an episode which has the following state successions: S, C, C, D, B, G. S, C, C, D, B, G. So this is what you have, right? And this is your. Okay. So if we are implementing Q learning with alpha 0.9, then what will be the value of QC, right? All QSF pairs are initialized to 0. Assume the discounting factor to be 1. Okay. So here, if you see, so QC right happens twice, right? The first QC right when you start at QC right and you end up at QC and you end up at C again, and then again you take the QC right. Okay. Since all the values are initialized to 0, the first time you get QC, you do QC comma right, it will just be, so this 0.1 times old value, this will be 0 because it is 0, right, plus 0.9 times the plus 0.9 times the reward that you get, that is -1, right, because you banged into a wall. The first time you do the QC comma right, you banged into a wall, right? So the updated value now of QC comma right is minus 0.9. Okay. Now the second time you do QC comma right, you do alpha times, so alpha is 0.1, but this time the QC comma right is negative 0.9, so you do minus 0.9 plus 0.9 times the
Isn't the
reward.
alpha like in the whole multiplied by alpha,
No, no,
not
it is
like
it is it is 1 minus alpha times QSA plus alpha times reward plus Q star S dash A dash, right? This is what the equation was.
okay, so you're using the last one. Okay, okay.
So the 1 minus alpha is 0.1 because alpha is 0.9, and the QC comma right is updated to minus 0.9, and the right part of the equation, which is reward plus Q star S dash A dash. So for D, so after taking the action C, you end up at D, and S dash for Q value of all the D is initialized to 0. So here the second half of the equation would look like 0.1 times minus 0.9 plus 0.9 times 0 plus 0, because the max value for the Q S dash is 0, which is an S dash is D here, because after taking C right the second time, you indeed move from C to D. Okay, so this will become minus 0.09, and that was your answer. So this is how you perform a step of Q learning. And this question, although not discussed in the lecture, there is a theoretical concept. So if we have a greedy policy with epsilon 0.2, this is essentially that epsilon greedy policy which we studied in the class, where with
In simulated
probability.
tunneling?
Yeah, no, no, no. Before simulated annealing, exploitation versus exploration part, where with epsilon you take a random state, and with one minus epsilon you do the greedy step, right? So there is this theory that if it is not a greedy action, then the probability of doing that action is epsilon over mod A. And if you want a pointer to that, this was discussed in Stack Overflow chain, which I found. I can paste that in the link, so you can go over that as well. Probability.com. Drafts. Here, and this one. Yeah. So yeah, I'm pasting this for your reference, and I will share the tab again. So here it is saying that in Sutton and Barthow's book on reinforcement learning, the on policy method we represent in this section uses epsilon greedy policies, meaning the most of the time they choose an action that has maximal estimated action, but with probability epsilon, they instead select an action at random. That is, all non-greedy actions are selected with a minimal probability of selection epsilon by a naught. Now, clearly in state C, the right action is not a greedy action because it has like a negative reward associated to that. So what we would instead do, so this will not be a greedy action and it will be assigned a probability epsilon over mod A. Now in state C, you can do up, down, left, right, four actions you have, right? So epsilon is 0.2 and epsilon by mod A will be 0.05, and that is your answer. Once again, since the uh, action right at state C is not the greedy action, what we would do is give it a probability epsilon over mod A, because in case of epsilon greedy policies, the non-greedy actions are given the minimum probability of selection as epsilon over mod A. In our case, mod A, that is the number of actions feasible, is 4 and epsilon is 0.2, so the value will be 0.05. Okay. Yeah. So do you want me to solve this question?
Yeah, any question with Q learning. At
Okay.
least one question with Q learning, actually.
Yes, there is a f function also.
No,
So,
that is a theoretical question. That
okay.
let us say that the weights, because f function cannot be solved because that requires concepts of machine learning, right? Because you want to learn the features in that sense, features and the associated weights. So for that you apply machine learning, and yeah. Anyways, coming to this one, okay. So first read the question. It says that consider MDP with three states, A, B, and C, and two actions, go and stop. Since we do not know the transition function, we wish to employ Q learning to discover the optimal policy. Q values are initialized to 0 and assume the discounting factor of 1 and the learning rate, that is alpha, to be 0.5, right? Since this is a Q learning, so after generating every sample, we will update the Q values, right? So so let me just copy this table and then we will start. I did not copy image. All right. So the first value that we will update is q a comma go. Okay. So q a comma go, and just like we did last time, it will be 0.5 times q a comma go plus 0.5 times the reward reward plus max a dash q star max a dash q s dash comma a dash, right? Now from a go, we go to b, so our s dash is b, and all the q values of b are 0, so we have this as 0.5 times 0 plus 0.5 times reward, that is 2.
So max value is not needed because we are only taking one action.
No, actually, that is like in the Q learning. If you remember the equation update, I'm just writing the update equation. It is max a dash over q dash s dash a dash. That's how the equation looked like. If you remember.
Yeah, so but we have two rewards, right? +2 and -2.
No, there is only just a reward of +2. There is no reward of -2. How are you
In
getting
the
that?
last
No, no,
row.
no, no, no. See, in Q learning, we update after generating every example.
Okay.
See, like if you remember in the previous step
Yeah,
also we
after
did.
every sample, do you have to
Yeah,
update
because
it?
that's
Okay.
that's what we did here, right? Otherwise, the final value of QC rate would just be minus 0.9. We did QC rate twice. In the previous question also, we did QC rate twice. The first time the first time was when we hit the wall, and the second time was when we transitioned from C to D. That's why this value QC that became 0.9 from the previous iteration, and it is mentioned in the slides also, if I remember that. I hope I'm not wrong on this one, right? So yeah, directly learn Q star, receive a sample, your old estimate, new sample values R plus gamma max A dash, Q S dash comma A dash. So this you will do after generating every sample.
Okay, so the next state's maximum value. Okay.
Uh-huh. And the next state maximum value, that is 0 for now, because you have no you have
Yeah.
not done anything on B so far, so that's why it is 0.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So from here, what we got as q of a go is 1, right? So let me then just write it. So q of a go. I hope you were able to follow the calculation, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So q a go, that came out to be 1. Now can anyone tell me the equation for q c comma stop? What it would look like, given that you have alpha as 0.5 and gamma as 1. Okay, so shoot. What would this equation look like?
Okay, so point 0.5 times the value, previous value of C,
Hmm.
and what was that? Plus or minus? I forgot.
So here it is 1 minus
Plus.
alpha, and here it is alpha. I'm
Yeah,
just
yeah, and times the gamma times maximum value of the next step, which is A. So next, the
so this
value
is
of A is
what
1.
plus gamma times max a dash q s dash. What is s dash? S dash is a, s dash comma a dash, right? So this value is obviously 0, right?
No, no, we figured out the value of A, no?
No, no, it was
Last,
Achha, it was.
last.
Oh, sorry. It was QA go. Sorry. Yeah.
Okay, so
It is.
yeah, so
Yeah,
one
it is. It
zero.
is one.
So
Yeah.
other actions we have 0, and for go we have
Ha,
1.
ha, ha, ha,
We
ha,
will
ha.
select the go.
Sorry. This is my. Yeah. And QC stop is 0, right? QC stop is 0 because we have no data on QC stop so far, right? So this will be 0.5 times reward. Reward is 0 plus gamma is 1 into max of that. So that is 1. So this is 0.5, right? So QC stop is 0.5.
Sir, what is max of, you said? Max of,
So,
there is only one quantity, I think. One.
no. So see, in the question it says that you can do two actions, go and stop, right?
Mm-hmm.
So here at QA, right? So what this A dash is basically go and stop.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Actions.
Uh, yeah. So what is the value of QA comma go, and what is the value of QA comma stop?
Stop, right.
So QA comma go is 1. We just calculated in the last step.
Hmm.
right? And QA comma stop is 0 because we have not updated it so far.
Okay.
So what is the max of these?
Okay. Okay. Sir.
1. So that's why it is max Q dash Q A comma A dash is this. And this clear frame.
Okay.
Ah, yeah, please. Is there any question? So far we have figured out Q A comma go is 1 and Q C comma stop is 0.5. That is what we have figured so far. Are there any questions till this point? Okay. So the next is now QB stop, QB comma stop. Okay. So it is QB comma stop, and this will be equal to again 0.5 times 0, 0.5 times 0 plus 0.5 times reward, that is minus 2, plus max of q over a values. So q over a values is 1, so it will be minus 2 plus 1, and this will be minus 0.5. So qb comma stop is minus 0.5. Now qb comma go, right? Q of b comma go, that is equal to 0.5 times the reward, that is minus 6, plus QC plus the max C, right? So max C is 0.5, and this turns out to be minus 2.75. I hope you're able to follow these calculations, because if you
Yeah,
don't,
yeah, yeah.
then you might face difficulty in solving the question, right? So you have to just remember this equation, that Q S comma A, this is equal to 1 minus alpha times Q S comma A plus alpha times reward plus Q star S dash comma A dash, where Q star S dash comma A dash is max A dash Q S dash comma A dash, right? So we were at Q B comma go.
Okay, where is gamma in this equation?
This is gamma is with here.
Yeah, okay.
In this case, gamma is 1, so I am did not, yeah, but it is 1 minus alpha times Q S dash plus R times gamma Q star S dash A dash. Okay, so we have computed till here, that is QB comma go. Now we do QC comma go, right? So this will be uh,
1.5.
yeah, 0.5 times 2 plus 1, that is, yes, so 2 plus 1 from A comma go, so that is uh, 1.5. And at last Q A comma go, right? So Q A comma go, we now have an initial value, so it will be 0.5 times 1 plus 0.5 times minus 2 plus 1, right? Because of qa comma go from the previous step, right? So minus 2 plus 1, that is minus 1 0.5, and 0.5 plus 0.5 is 0. So if we check all the values that we have got, right? So qc comma go, right? So what is the value of qc comma go? That
Yeah, you got it right, sir. I checked it.
is 1.5, right? Then QB comma go. Did we get that correct? It is minus 2.75. It is minus 2.75, and QA comma go is 0. So yeah, this part is done.
Sir,
Huh.
like for example, in our question in question, like there were several runs. So should we like treat each episode like separately? It doesn't even matter.
I mean, yeah, you can treat each episode separately, or you can just consider that, yeah, these are the samples that I have.
Yeah. So like even if like in one run we have two episodes,
Mm-hmm.
we can just like divide them up,
Ha ha ha
right?
ha ha
It
ha
won't make any difference.
ha ha ha.
No, no. If you have two episodes, then how to do it?
So like what I would do is that, actually, this multi-episodic thing was not was it covered in the lecture? Like, I
No,
don't.
no, no. In general, I mean, these are
So in
questions
general,
linked
what
to
I will do is just I
probability.
will consider that this is the entire thing that I have. So these are all the samples that I have got. So just like this, I will create a table containing all the samples that I have got. So from state S, I take the action A, I go to state B and get a reward 0. So that was run 1. Then again, I would write state A, then I got an action B. And I remember in run 2, there were two actions. So like this entry will be from run 1, these two entries will be from run 2, these two entries will be from run 3, and so on. You can just create this table and
Yeah,
uh,
we can just divide them up and treat them separately. It doesn't matter.
because ultimately you are computing probabilities or like expectations in that case. It is not asking you to do a Q learning, right? What is the question asking you to do? Let me just go to this week's assignment now because you are done with the questions, the last. But yeah, we have to discuss one TD learning, so we can just do that. Week 11. Yeah, so here it is saying to give you an estimate, empirical estimate of V pi A. Yeah, so that
Hmm.
means like what will be the value for the policy.
Okay, sir, one more thing. So value of some state is equal to maximum value of Q uh, state for all actions.
So V of A, like just like we calculated previous time, right? So it will be the summation over the transition spaces times reward plus the max Q star. So this is something that we learned that we did when we started this lecture, right? So here, for example, this V all. So this V of F will be the, so if you remember, right? I hope you remember that equation. So V of a state S will be the summation over all the action and the transition probability of S A S dash times the reward plus gamma times the max A dash, and it will be max, basically the maximum
Yeah,
of
I
V
got
star
it. I
S, like
got it.
it is just V star S. So V star S is like max Q star, and then you have that. So I hope you remember that equation, right?
Yeah, like so many letters get confusing after some
Yeah.
point.
Okay, the star means it's the most optimal, I think.
Yeah, the star is
Star
not
means max.
optimal. Star is optimal.
Optimal, right?
There is
Optimally.
no such thing as most optimal. It's
Mm-hmm.
just the
No, optimal maximum value. Okay.
so gamma times Q star S comma A. Yeah,
Mm.
S dash comma A dash, something like that. Yeah, even I also get confused a lot. That's why I just don't bother writing these equations. I just start solving the way I think it's best. But yeah, V pi of A will be the value of that particular state. Okay. So are there any question? What is this question about? Like one, two, three. Assume that you are fed sequentially to a 3D learner. Assume that all values are initialized to 0 and alpha is what will be the learned value of V pi A. Acha, here, see, that's why I've said na, that as are fed sequentially to a 3D learner. Uh, So then you have to like draw a table similar like this, and then just keep on calculating the equations, just like we have done here. There you will calculate the t equations, and you might get the answer. So do I have a question on TD learning that I have seen? Or maybe was there any question included in
Yes,
the
yes, yes,
slides of
yes.
this
In the
time?
same one, TD is there. The third question relates to TD.
I'm saying I don't have any question with me right now on TD learning. Like
Okay, okay.
So do you want me to share my
yeah,
screen?
like if you have question and answer to
The
that or something, we can just
previous
discuss.
year's questions, right?
Sure, sir. Are they archived? Questions. Yeah, you can share your screen when you are ready. Like it's fine.
The in the previous to previous years, like there are no TD questions actually.
Uh, Let me see if I can find like TD learning. Learning. Anything. Guys, I will find something and I'll upload a PDF for that. Like that is something that I can always do. If I don't find anything right now, sparse and critical thinking. Uh, so here is what I will do. Then I'll find something and then I will just upload it. Like if I do find the resource, so that you will at least be able to solve that question. But if you want, I can maybe just like show one step or something for this. No, but that would be kind of. Do we have? Okay. Yeah. So we did find. Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yes, yes.
ठीक है तो ये है temporal difference and Q learning. Okay. That's best. Click here to resume your presentation. Resume presenting. Yeah. So consider the grid world example that we looked in the lecture. We would like to use TD learning to find the values of these states. Now suppose we observe, so it is similar to exactly what you are trying to do, right? So suppose we observe the following S, A, S dash, R transitions and rewards. So from B, if we take east, we get to C, and the reward is 2. C south, E comma 4, C east, A comma 6, B, and so on. The initial value for each state is 0. Let gamma be 1 and alpha is 0.5. Right? So for B east C comma 2, we update V by B as V by B plus alpha times R plus gamma C, gamma V by C minus V by B, right? Because from B we are going to C. Now V by C was 0, V by B was 0, and the reward is 2 that we get, right? And V by B was initially 0, so we got 0.5, that is the alpha. R is 2 and gamma is 1, so we got 1, right? So initial is 0 0 0 0. B east C comma 2, we get 0 comma, uh, for A it is 0, for B it has become 1, right? And yeah, following the same computations we get the final values. So similarly, if we keep on adding on top of what we have, so for C south E comma 4, right, let us write this equation. Okay, how will it look like? Mm, so Django, adding jam. So do you want these jams also be to be a part of the slides that I upload, or is it fine
I
that
mean,
I?
if you can upload them, like I don't see the problem.
Huh?
If we have like some
Well,
calculations, we
if
can
you can
just check.
upload this also, it's needed.
Huh?
Like
If
if
you
you
can
can upload
upload
it,
this one,
please
this
do.
you can upload, then it will be helpful.
Uh, Okay, so we have seen we have seen B, right, and we have got V pi. So we have VB, VB as 1 now, right, and we are seeing VC south comma E comma 4. Okay, so we have C comma south comma E comma 4. Okay, so V pi of C, it will be V pi of C plus alpha times the reward that you get, okay, plus gamma times, so from C you are going to E, so that is V pi of E, and we subtract the V pi of C. Okay, so V pi of C is 0, alpha is 0.5, R is 4, and gamma and all is everything there. So I think it should be, it is 2, right? It is 2 because gamma is 1, this is 0, and this is 0, right? So 0.5 times 4, that is 2. So we got V pi of C as 2. Now the next sample that you see is C east A comma 6. Okay. So we get C east A and 6. Okay. So this time V pi of C will be 2 plus 0.5 times 6 plus V pi of A. Do we have any update on V pi of A? V pi of A is 0, so it will be 0, right? Minus V pi of C, that was 2. So this will be 2 plus 0.5 times 4. So 0.5 times 4 is 2. So then
Four.
that should be that should be 4. C. So V pi of C is now 4 after seeing this sample, right? So in similar way, if you keep like, okay, I think that there is only one more sample left, so I will just complete that. B east comma C comma 2. So we have B comma C comma 2. Okay. So this will be so for V of E we have, okay. So for V of B we have value as 1. Okay. For V of B we have value as 1. So it will be 1 plus 0.5 times 2 plus gamma times uh, V pi of C minus V pi of B. There is some noise from someone's mic. I don't know who are not there. Acha. Okay, it's fine. ठीक. Yeah. So that will be 1 plus 0.5 times 2 plus gamma is 1. V pi of C is 2 and minus V pi of B is 1. Right? So this is 1 plus 0.5 times 2 plus 2, 4 minus 1, 3. 2 plus 2, 4 minus 1, 3. So this is now 3.5. Move tab to another. Yeah. Is this what we got? Is this what we got? So no, we got some other value.
We got 4 or
No, it
2.5.
is 2.5 we got, and it is here. It says 3.5. How did that happen? How did that happen? Okay, let me just see once again. So B east C comma 2. Achha, C is 4. C is 4. Not, yeah. So 4 plus
Yeah,
2,
then
6. 6 minus
6.
1, 5. 2.5 plus 1, 3.5. Yeah. B pi of C is 4.
And
Right? 2 plus 4, 6 minus 1, 5. And 0.5 times 5, 2.5 plus 1, 3.5. That is how we got the final values. Now, what is it asking? In class, we presented the two formulations for 3D learning. Mathematically, these two equations are equivalent. However, they represent two conceptually different ways. How could we intuitively explain each equation? The first equation takes weighted average, and the second equation updates our current value towards the. Oh, these are the same thing. Like, why are they? The temporal difference motivated. What are the learned Q values? So something like this we already solved, right? So for
yeah,
D is C comma 2, you do this. Then for EC, so for each of these you do like whatever you have. Okay, so I'll download and upload this right away. Otherwise, it might get lost somewhere. ठीक है. So I'll end the lecture now, and yeah, we'll see you again next week.
sir, one more thing. Can you
Ah,
like share your LinkedIn?
LinkedIn, yeah, definitely. Even I check whether that's very, yeah. So how do you share it? Like you just click here. Ah, cool. Okay, so if are there any other questions, doubts, comments, anything, you can just let me know. Else we'll just end this class now. Okay, so thanks, and yeah, we'll see you again next week. Bye bye.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much.